We've often featured Triumphs on two wheels, but it's nearly 5 years since I first tested the T595 Daytona. It's been through some changes over the years, but now it's been completely revised, and this is the latest Daytona, the 955i. So what's new? Lots. For a start, it's 10 kilos lighter. It's got a shorter wheelbase and it's got an extra 15 brake horsepower. But what hasn't changed, I'm pleased to say, is that unmistakable Triumph triple howl. It's not an external upset the public exhaust noise. Oh no, this is your private sound system generated by that airbox up under the tank. Wind it up to anywhere between 7,000 and 8,000 revs and here it go. If you're into engines, you'll love this one. It really is addictive. As you can tell, I like Triumph's triple a lot, especially that engine. But what else have they actually done to the bike? Let's have a look-see down here. First thing you'll notice is the old single-sided swinging arm has gone to be replaced by this, a more conventional twin-armed one. Fabricated aluminium job, but the big thing is it's saved a hell of a lot of weight, 2.5 kilos. So that is a lot of weight, a lot of unsprung weight. So that's why they've done that. Coming up to the frame here, this looks very, very familiar, doesn't it? Always with this twin tube thing, makes it very, very distinctive. They've changed it and modified it over the years. They've trimmed a little bit of weight off it, but basically that's the same. The engine, which unfortunately you can't see under all these cases, that's nevertheless had a lot of attention to it. The cylinder head is brand new. They've changed the valve angle in it. They've thinned down the cases a lot to save a lot of weight. 2.5 kilos on the engine as a whole. And it's a big meaty engine now as well. 149 brake horsepower at the crank. That's a lot. Coming back to the frame, the head angle, which you can't really see any difference here, but I can tell you it's much steeper than it used to be. In fact, it's now steeper than the Fireblade, a ZX9R, or an Aprilia, the RSV. And I was expecting something really twitchy, but it's not. Something else, if you can get a sort of an overall view of it, they've actually shortened the wheelbase. Again, it's very difficult for you to tell looking at the bike like that, but they have shortened it by 25mm, which is an inch. And again, it brings it into that same ballpark as the Aprilia RSVR and also the ZX9. The blade is still a little bit shorter, but basically they're all battling in that same ring. So what else is new? This fairing, for one thing. Not only is it a brand new design with this big lens here, still twin headlights behind it, but as you can see, very distinctive, nothing like any of the other bikes, but the fairing itself is actually slimmer, saving a bit more weight. Down here, front wheel is now from the TT600. Again, that is saving a lot of weight. The rest of it they've retained, the big 320mm discs and Triumph's 4 pots. I know 6 pots are fashionable, but their Triumph stoppers really do work. Those front forks are unchanged, not upside down, are conventional, but I really like that look. They really do look big and chunky, and again, very Triumph-like. What else have they done? The back tyre, they've actually slimmed that down, would you believe? Used to be a 190 on the old one, it's now a 1AC. That's to improve handling, and I suppose it does save a little bit more weight. So it not only looks different, with that weight saving, it actually feels different. It's retained that solid planted feel it always had, but it now feels much more nimble and responsive with it. With fairly radical steering geometry, I thought it might be twitchy, but it's not. It turns nicely, not in a flip-flop flickable way like a GSX-R 1000, but planted like a 996 Ducati. It's a bike that needs you to have an input which is good. You're controlling it, not the bike controlling you. The engine complements it perfectly. Pushing out 136 brake horsepower at the back wheel, it's got more oomph than a Blade or a ZX9, but there's nothing hairy about it. It delivers its peak power at 10,700 revs and it'll run to 167 miles an hour, but it doesn't run away with you. This is real world stuff. And as if to prove its real world credentials, it's got a nice little digital display in here. Look, I shall demonstrate. Nothing fantastic, of course, but it has got a digital display. Big white face clock, rev counter, of course, there. But this digital one is pretty neat, nothing exceptional, but nevertheless, you've got a select button there, which gives you several choices of trip. Then we've got total miles, 1 trip, 2 trip, and also the time down there. All useful stuff, temperature gauge in there, and you've got your idiot lights up at the top. But see how small that is? They actually reckon that saved another 2 kilos on the old instrument panel. The rest of it is pretty conventional. The mirrors here, they're quite good. You see a bit of your elbows, as usual with these things, but they're not too bad. You know, you can see a fair bit behind you. Looking down on the headstock here, you've got fully adjustable front forks, preload, compression damping and rebound. Rest of the controls, no hydraulic clutch on this one, cable operated. And that's it really, conventional switchgear. Plastic tank, Triumphs have always stuck with a plastic tank. I'm very keen on magnetic tank bags, so that's no good for me, I'm afraid. But it does the job, and again, it saves some weight. No doubt about it, for me, this really is a bike that's different. Its star feature is that 3-cylinder engine. It mixes the smoothness of a 4 with the hard edge of a twin. But having said that, the whole bike feels more measured and self-assured than its competitors. It's very British, I suppose. The Daytona isn't exceptional in any particular department, just very good in all of them. You get a well-rounded performance, it handles well, the suspension is supple, and well, it just feels right. I have to be honest and say I didn't think there was very much wrong with the old model, so needless to say, I think this one's well and truly up with the competition. It comes in blue or silver and will cost you £8,949, and that's well up with the competition too.